I married my wife Hema 8 years ago. We have been together for 10 years. We have 2 great kids together. When she was 19, Hema had a son, Handy, whose dad was a deadbeat. Hema didn't make much, so Handy didn't have the best childhood. But she tried so hard for him, but he was so resentful and didn't care. He hated me when we started dating, was passive aggressive, refused to take a role at our wedding, and when we had our daughter Elsa, now 7, he got spiteful. We tried all kinds of therapy, but he refused to accept. That was not a problem. When he turned 19, he cursed out his mom after an argument, and enough was enough. We evicted him and ended financial support, so he had understood how much his mom tried. By all accounts, he is doing well. He graduated, got a degree, and has a nice, high-paying software job. We stayed in contact with him. We text him, but he barely responds. He only sees Hema for about an hour every few months. She is always sad after seeing him, and I have to cheer her up, which is not an issue, but I don't like seeing her sad. We had a big family dinner a week ago, and she invited him weeks in advance to give him time. He never came. She found out from Instagram 2 days after that Handy blew off the dinner because he took his girlfriend to visit his father's family in Australia and proposed because it turns out she is pregnant. She's been very sad this entire week because of it, and I tried everything to cheer her up, but it's not working. She doesn't even seem to be happy around Alexa or even our baby, and I'm worried because she's never been this depressed before. I tried to talk to her about it. She was just non-responsive, and nothing I was doing made her happy. So I pointed out to her that Handy clearly doesn't care for our family, and it is for the best if he stays away. She got very angry with me and called me an a-hole for not trying to understand how she felt and just trying to make her feeling better. I want to be clear, everything about Handy is just in there to give clarification regarding why what I said may be the issue between my wife and I. This is not about Handy except for how he relates to the conflict between my wife and I. That said, I don't see what I did wrong in saying that given how hurt she was, but still angry at me. And maybe she's right and I'm the a-hole for saying that, so I guess I'm here to learn that. The update too from the OP is, when Handy came back from Australia, Hema learned by an Instagram post. My wife called and begged him to come over when he could, and he came about 2 weeks after. He was clearly uncomfortable when Elsa came up to say hi with our baby, so I took them to my cousins before returning. When I came back, it was clear Handy had been crying given that he was drinking like a pitcher of water. After that, he gave Hema an old photo he had in his wallet of her and him when he was like 5 of her holding him in the bed while he slept, and said he didn't need it anymore, gave her a hug and left the house. I talked to him outside his car before he left, and I apologized for being a tyrant and had a lot of things people on my last post said that I did. He just told me that he appreciates the apology and if I ever did care about him, to keep myself and my kids out of his life. It hurt to hear him say that he doesn't care for them and doesn't see them as his siblings and doesn't ever want to see them again. I told him I'd respect his wishes and would try to make sure his mom did too. He shook my hand and left. After he left, Hema told me that when I was gone, he asked what he wanted and assumed she was calling asking him for money and didn't know it was about him getting married and his fiancee's pregnancy. He started crying because she apologized for how everything went down between them and for evicting him, and admitted that it was wrong of us. When Hema asked if he hates her, he told her that cause she is his mom, he will always love her, and even if she wants, he will keep seeing her as little as he does. until he moves to Australia and she will be invited to his wedding, but only as a guest. And that she would never meet his child or be grandma since that was a role that was going to his dad's wife. And he felt uncomfortable with how small the age gap between our baby and his will be. He told her that if she really loved him as much as she said, she'd be happy with that and happy for him. After that day, it was hard for Hema and she did take it on our kids and especially on me, but she did get better and things got back into routine and we became that happy family we were again. And this wedding was about 5 months ago before his wife started showing and my wife went. I of course was not invited. She came back crying because she was pretty much isolated there. Didn't talk to anybody except Handy. And some of her former in-laws, she hated how much he honored his father's family during his reception speech, to the point where he even called his stepmom his true mom, and his dad's kids for being the brother and sister that he always wanted. But I guess it's how he really feels. A little bit ago, Handy and his wife had their baby and he is a beautiful boy. He's actually the most chubby, not filled baby I have ever seen. The post they put on IG again really hurt him since it was praising his wife and all about how he knows she would be the greatest mother in the world and never let what happened to him happen to the son. And she has not seen him in person. She cried more than she ever has when she saw that post. I have honestly never seen her that distraught, and I could not leave her side because I really was afraid she'd kill herself or something. I know she wants nothing more than to be there for Handy and help with his baby, but since then it has kind of been like our kids, especially our baby, don't even exist. Now, Handy kept his promise to keep seeing my wife and he met her out of coffee about once or twice a month. She'd always be glowing after the meetings and would tell me about all his life and how happy he was. I'm guessing she thought that they would lead to something more. He and his family will moving to Australia next month and I'm posting this because Hema met with him yesterday and he made it clear it will be the last time he was meeting her unless he came back. He did not accept a present from her for the baby, so maybe that's something. I know now that I was in the wrong. It may not be a happy ending for me, but it is for Handy. And since people rightfully cared more about him, that's why I'm posting. Going off his LinkedIn, he got promoted to the job of software architect at his company, which is big. Think Microsoft level big, which means his fiancé and his child will be secure. I'm assuming his job is remote too, so he can work while in Australia. And I want everyone to know I do genuinely wish him the best. He might not be our family and that is my fault, but he has his own now. And I'm certain he will do a better job than I did. Opinions. How is it Randy has a deadbeat dad who lives on a different continent? But Handy is close with his deadbeat dad and stepmother, who she says was a mother to him. And why did Randy have a bad childhood, such that he hates his mother and excelled astoundingly when he cut ties with her? So much is missing, seems very suspect. Maybe Hema was not that good for a mom and OP have a very skewed version of her divorce and Handy's childhood, but I highly doubt that the case going by Handy's own behavior. His dad lived literally in the opposite side of the globe, so digitally close to be idealized by the kid and trash talk his mom, but not physically close, meaning he didn't have to walk the walk and talk the talk. Hema was willing to pay for 4 and OP was shaming in for one more course. That doesn't seem like the type of parents that would call asking for money. But if you spend your teenage years hearing your deadbeat father say your mom only cared about cash, only bothered him for money, and your stepdad suddenly sees a prostitute and your stepdad is trying to buy you as well. Handy refused any attempts at counseling, meaning he had made his mind and no communication would change the narrative in his mind. He's terrorizing his younger sister and then went as far as call his mom names. They kicked him out because the alternative was keep the bullying going, but by doing so, my dad won. A classic case of parental alienation. The father looked like he did be to them, but those ties didn't show out of thin air. He was a presence in Andy's life, but not a positive one. And that little stunt of inviting his mom just to go out of his way to call a stepmother, and that was never present on most of his life, is real mom. All the love to the siblings he didn't watch grow while traumatizing the one he lived with. That was by design to hurt and humiliate Hema. He still feels that he needs to show her cause that's a narrative he's been holding on for a decade. I'm sure he broke down crying because he was so ready to talk, but to what he had come to expect from his mother. She was asking for him, not his money. Who knows, maybe one day he allows himself therapy and can look back at his childhood with new lenses. Maybe his dad will disappoint him again and he will be forced to reevaluate things.